Welcome back to the channel, folks. We got a weird one today. I found an interesting delay at the one of these thrift stores out in Japan, like I normally do. This one I doubt you've ever heard of, and if you have, then you know, more power to you. But it's a brand called TOA. They make a lot of audio gear out here in Japan. If you ever come here and tour, you'll probably see a lot of installation by TOA. You'll probably never see it in the States, though. It's a brand I've only seen out here. Which is interesting because there's English all over it. I don't know what the deal with that is, but I'm grateful for it because now I can actually use this thing. So this is a digital effector model DE-1000. It's a digital delay, and what's interesting and unique about it, just at a first glance, you'll notice it's got sliders here to control various things, and we'll take a look at those. It's got some buttons to turn things on and off, and most interestingly, it's got 3 lines of delay. You'll see here for the sound that you just heard, I've got a 30 millisecond delay on the left, 40 millisecond delay on the right, and then a 150 millisecond sort of a slap just right up the middle. So that's kind of what this delay I've discovered excels at, is sort of doing the doubling thing in stereo, and then sort of a slap or a shorter delay, just sort of on its own. It's sort of like a bonus delay, honestly. It's really just like a great doubler with a bonus delay. And I also had the modulation tuned up or tuned in for that track as well, which you can probably hear. I've got the depth cranked all the way up. And if you take a look here on the other cam, you'll see it's got sliders for rate and depth of modulation. It's got a slider for delay mix, the region, which I had turned off for this sound because I was doing a doubling thing. And then it's also got individual slide outputs for each of these, each of the 3 voices. And those are interactive with the region, so you can start to get like some really crazy sort of psychedelic feedback. And I've seen a couple demos for this thing online where people were just sort of like doing, you know, synth loops or whatever. So let's listen to this. Yeah. Another cool thing about this is that it actually has 3 individual outputs for each one of the voices. So what I've done is I've sent each of those 3 outputs to 3 different channels on the Roland M120 line mixer so that I could kind of pan them and set the levels sort of however I wanted. Obviously, I'm going to just use some uniformity, but it's still nice to have those 3 separate outputs for each voice, because then you can route it all sorts of crazy ways. And I'm just going mono in to the mixer from my Helix, and then using the aux send from the line mixer to send some signal through the delay, and then that goes through the 3 outputs back into 3 of its own channels, and then that goes to my Apollo X8P and then into Logic. So that's my signal flow. Some wild stuff happening there. I love the modulation in this. Really cool modulation. So let's try messing around with some other settings. And sort of the first thing you have to do with this delay is you just have to get over the fact that it's not 3 SDE 3000s. You know what I mean? It has very limited delay time. In fact, I think it maxes out at about 255. So we'll crank the left delay all the way up to its max, which is 255. There you go. So you can hear that acting wacky. And we'll crank the right delay up to, I don't know, 235, wherever it stops. And we'll crank, I don't know, maybe we'll lower this one a little bit. So it'll be a little faster slap. Now you got some weird stuff happening, especially with the modulation depth all the way up. So let's bring in the region, which will allow us to do this. Now we got some repeats. They're real sprongy and weird because we got that modulation happening. So it's real easy for it to get real weird real quick. Yeah, it gets real weird. So let's turn the mod off. We also got some other buttons here. We have X phase, which is like, just sort of the phase across the voices left and right, I believe. And then this one here, which is center to phase. So that just puts the middle delay out of phase. And those are just sort of like character things. And then an interesting thing are these output levels are interactive with the regen. So if you crank them, it can get out of control real quick. Woo! See what I mean? Anyway, let's not do that again. So with the regen set high and the output level of the two longer delays, you can sort of get into that like space echo kind of weird vibe. So we'll tune this one down a little farther. You can hear it's trying to feed back. It wants to. So we'll just drop these levels a little bit here. And maybe make the difference between the delay lengths a little bit more obvious. All right, and if you bring these phases in, you can tell that's doing some cool stuff to the delay. Yeah. So, yeah, and then you've got 4 memory slots here. And I've got one saved here, so I can just recall it. And it just puts us right back where we were. Where we got that slap and then that doubling effect. And I'll go ahead and turn regen's already off, so it's already exactly how it was. Yeah. Really nice modulation. It's a really unique, strange delay. Kind of cool though. If you're looking for like a doubler that just has like a bonus slap and in my opinion, a really interesting modulation, plus some faders you can play with live to do weird stuff, then this is a really interesting one. It's kind of glad I happened upon it. It's been fun to play with. Of course, once you like get rid of the notion in your mind that it's going to be like 3 amazing STE3000s. I've got a couple STE3Ks back here, which I'm sure some of you would probably rather I had demoed those than this, but that'll be coming up down the road a little bit. That's an interesting sound. Yeah, doubling is just a really nice way to thicken up a guitar sound, and this does it in a very interesting way. And it's cool that it's got 3 separate outputs with their own sliders right there on the front. It's very unique. There's not anything else like this that I've ever seen. Thanks for joining me tonight. This has been the TOA model DE-1000 digital delay. 3 outputs, crazy, interesting. I think this is the only guitar demo of this thing on the internet probably, because I just happened to luck upon it in a thrift store out here in Japan. So thanks for checking it out. Thanks for joining me. If you like this video, then hit the like button down below. Help me out a little bit there. And subscribe to the channel, because I'll have more interesting, rare, and weird stuff from out here in Japan coming up later. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys later.